Hi everyone. As we begin this week talking about the life course perspective, I wanted to elaborate a little bit on the model as it's presented in your textbook. Sometimes people look at the life course perspective in a fairly simplistic way, that there's this beginning of life, there's certain events, and they're like building blocks that sort of inevitably lead to certain outcomes in later life. And that's really a simplistic way of thinking about the model and certainly doesn't reflect more current and deeper thinking about how life events, when they occur and mediating factors around them, actually do influence the life course and thus the life course perspective as we're applying it in gerontology. So I wanted to share with you today a couple of a new or a different way of thinking about the life course model. And this really grows out of the work of health researchers, Berkman and his colleagues, who were attempting to look at different ways to think about the life course events and thus the life course perspective as it pertains to adult health outcomes. So when we look at this figure, the first model at the top, this top trajectory, early life experiences are thought to be highly significant, regardless of whether they're grounded in fetal conditions, birth or even pre-birth, relative economic status, individual factors, or social conditions that shape later outcomes almost independently of events occurring in between. The effects of the early experience may not be immediately evident, and in fact, they may not become apparent for years to come. Nonetheless, they're capable of shaping outcomes that do not materialize for years or even decades. The contention is that early life experiences are embodied in the individual upon their occurrence and have a direct impact on not only later circumstances, but also a variety of later life outcomes. And as should be evident from the causal errors in this trajectory, adult contextual factors may have no impact on later life health effects, as it is the early occurrence in this particular way of looking at it that makes all the difference. And in the context in which Berkman and his colleagues formulated this figure, they focused on health conditions in later life and assert that early exposure inevitably plays out in the adult years. Those early events need not be physical to affect later life health. They emphasize that some of the early life experiences may be social experiences of a wide variety of types. So we might think about a physical one being either, let's say, complications at birth or poor nutrition in early developmental years. But social conditions might be, for example, also something like abuse. And in this trajectory, it would be that whatever the intervening years, those intervening experiences will not mediate these early events and their outcomes in later life. The middle model portrays adult social conditions as intermediate factors, filtering what happens subsequently. In each instance, adult social conditions refer to a range of events and experiences occurring during the adult years. Some of these may be macro-level influences, such as public policies and immersion in social institutions, such as work, career, families, and so on. But others are unique individual experiences. And as might be inferred by the lines of causality in this trajectory, there are both direct and indirect influences of childhood and adolescence experience. In other words, both early and midlife events combine to have both correlated and uncorrelated, yet cumulative influence on later life conditions. Of course, it also implies that middle life factors have potential offsetting influence over what happened previously. It's important to bear in mind also that the timing of an event and the presence of available supportive social networks will affect the potency of the intermediate experiences and late life occurrences. In the lower model, There are thought to be little or no direct consequences from early life experience on later life. They are there, but they're indirect, filtered through social circumstances of adulthood. As with the middle model, those adult social conditions can run the gamut of every conceivable experience. And a good illustration of this model can be seen in thinking about how, for example, early life education or family life colors careers and then a variety of life experiences that unfold during the adult years. These in turn set the stage for what happens in later life because of advantages or disadvantages accruing or experienced accruing along the way throughout the middle years. Social environments experienced throughout life foreshadow the experience in old age, just as early life social environments anticipate adolescence and young adulthood. There is plenty of plasticity and what psychologists call malleability in the life course, to be sure, and social environments reflect people and places as well as policies and structural considerations. These models are intended to put forward a broad framework for thinking about the unfolding of the life course and really how we apply a life course perspective. And I think it's also important to keep in mind that currently thinking about resilience and having a resilient character and or resilient skills can also mediate many life events. So again, we're trying to think about this life course perspective in a little bit different and broader way, deeper way, rather than the simple building block outcome sort of approach. So I look forward to seeing how you apply the life course perspective in the work, your assignments. And if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Take care all.